I think life is too short for bad sex.
Would you be okay to share your man with other girls, maybe
No.
on a... Would you rather date like a rich guy who's bad in bed or a poor guy who's good in bed?
None of them.
Like, could you go like 3 months without any sex, any
That would be
intimacy?
very sad. I oftentimes think, okay, so you are here and what should I do with you? Like, who are you? I don't even know you. How do I connect with you? It takes a lot of vulnerability and guts for a man to approach a woman because then
Yeah.
they're vulnerable in this state, you know, because they can get rejected and nobody likes to be rejected. Do this and for sure you will get a date, you know?
Yeah.
You don't know. Like, how are you so sure if it works for you, if it doesn't work for someone?
Natalie, welcome. Glad to have you here.
I feel very welcomed. Thank you.
Yeah, Natalie, enjoy. Why did you choose enjoy, by the way, in all your social media? It's
When I was thinking of the way to call my account, I referred to my core values. One of the values in life for me is joy. Really living it to the fullest, I think. Since we have only one life, why live it in a mediocre way? So
Yeah.
I was thinking how to connect it in English, because English is not my first language, and I thought that enjoy was the most logical one.
mhm.
Yeah.
So for my audience or people who don't know you who are watching this, what are you currently doing? Because I know you're a dating and relationships coach. You've been, you have like a certificate in ICF and coaching, and you've been doing this for quite a while since I've been knowing you, and even before that. So could you tell like my audience a little bit about what you do right now, what you help people with, kind of your story a little bit, and what led you to that?
Sure. So the short introduction is that I'm an ICF-certified coach, and I help people with relationship questions and sexuality. And essentially, it's about connecting to themselves and really living the life the way they want instead of following certain standards or societal pressure. I also study psychology, and recently I started another company that does the same thing. It's about helping women to unleash and unlock their sexuality and feel comfortable and confident in it. So that's what I do.
So before it was mainly men and women, but now in the new company you're specializing in helping only women.
When I work one-on-one, I don't really differentiate. I have worked with both men and women, and funnily, I kind of have an equal ratio of both men and women, among my clients. But when it comes to that group coaching, that is for female. We are expanding it into male, and then we are planning with my partner to do group couples workshops. But that's in the future. We started with women.
Okay. When you were talking about helping women, be comfortable with their sexuality, etc., what are you doing exactly? Like, is it mainly like mindset stuff, or you take them in the field of like show them how to do stuff in the bedroom, or like maybe I don't know, do kinky stuff like tantra? I don't know. Like, what is it exactly? Just
I mean, everything
clarify.
I do is based on who I am. I'm a certified ICF coach, and it's a whole method on how to optimize your mindset and how to dive deeper into your core values and who you really are. And it will then reflect everything in your life, right? Be it business, relationships, whatever you can pick. Based on this methodology, it works. And I also study psychology, so I use some methods and techniques and knowledge from there. So it's a combination of, let's say, theory, practice, homework, combined approach.
Okay. Is there like some technical homework that a woman can do with her body to...
Absolutely, yeah. There are so many
just like
tools.
masturbation stuff, or
No,
more?
no. I mean, before masturbation, there are so many other things. Let's take a recent topic. We're planning a workshop with my partner on libido, and there are a lot of myths around this topic. You know, it being always spontaneous, and not a lot of people actually know how to track it and what it actually is. So there are tools like libido diary, for homework, that you track your libido based on certain criteria for the entire month, and then you can really see your picture. Then you also tap into your lifestyle, into your health, into what's happening between you and your partner. Do you even have a partner? Stuff like that. So before it actually gets to masturbation, it's very, I would say, extensive and deep.
Inner work and stuff like
Absolutely,
that.
yeah.
And self-questioning and going through limiting beliefs, I guess, because a lot of women have that. Traumas, maybe. Yeah. Okay.
All of that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Interesting. But we'll get into that a bit later. But I'm curious about what led you in your life to choose that path, and what was the turning point for you to tell yourself like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to pursue. Like, what led you to that?
I've always wanted helping people since I was very little. I wanted to be a doctor, actually. Funny enough, I didn't become a doctor, but then I became a physiotherapist. And during my very first internship, I was working in a very heavy department. It was cardiosurgery. And I really saw how people's bad habits, they are based on some compensatory mechanisms and childhood trauma or dependency mindset. And then having the root cause in the mental health, it leads them to have negative habits. Then they end up on this, almost like deathbed or something. They have really poor health situation. And it made me think, without mental health, there is no health. And I understood that I want to work with the root cause. So that was the beginning of everything. And years later, I started studying psychology. And when I became a coach because I wanted to work with people, but I didn't want to wait because I'm very impatient. So I got another certificate. I was parallelly studying both coaching and psychology. And then I started working with people. In the beginning, I didn't have a clear niche. As a new coach, you start from, let's find your purpose. Let's transform your life. Let's have a promotion, at your workplace. And it all seemed kind of fun and effective, but it didn't feel like me. And again, I dove deep into my core values because I also work with therapists and a coach on a regular basis. And one of my core values in life is relationships as well. I really care about people around me, and I really care about building those, not necessarily romantic, but overall relationships. And so I felt like for my work to resonate and be meaningful, I somehow had to connect it to who I am. And this is how I focused on relationships. Plus, during these years, I had experience working for Estonian government as the counselor for victims of abuse, sexual, domestic.
Okay.
So I was the first contact person for these victims. And it really opened my eyes to how lack of self-awareness, boundaries, trauma can lead you into the place where you can really be lost, and it can really affect your life in all possible ways, and it can destroy you. And I think that inspired me to kind of move into that topic as well.
It's interesting. So at first you wanted to be a doctor, and then you realized that, health starts first in the mind with the mental health. Yeah. And I think you were modeling at some point too.
Yeah, I did.
That was part of your story too at some point. You don't do that anymore? You don't want to model anymore? Or?
I mean, I do. It's I do sometimes. I have long-term partners with whom I work for many years. And it's fun and it's good for me. I enjoy working with these companies. Or when there is a fun project, I do it. But I would say modeling is not exactly what I like to do with my life.
Yeah.
It's not very fulfilling. It's very shallow.
Yeah, true. I used to model too, just fashion shows in Montreal. But same, it's glamorous in the front end, when the back end is not very glamorous. It's so
not glamorous. It's such a hard physical work and mental as well. People really don't realize that.
Yeah. And so for you in your personal story, like how have your own experiences with relationships and dating, how did they shape how you coach other people today and your work, etc.? Was it also the reason why you chose that path of relationships, etc.? Was it also because you dealt with stuff in your own relationships that you wanted to solve?
Yes and no. I really don't know a lot of women or overall people who have not been into toxic relationships, especially in their early 20s. Yeah. That's not what we're taught. We're not taught how to properly have a functional relationship, And I think a lot of people, if not all, have definitely faced problems. I wasn't an exception. But when it comes to my work, I absolutely do not project my own experiences onto my clients. It's not about me. Maybe observing how many people around me, and me included, kind of perhaps gave me inspiration, but that was about it. I don't transfer my experiences into my work. It's not about me, it's about clients.
Gotcha. Because personally, I mean, when I learned something in my own dating life and I implement something in my own dating life, then I feel like, yeah, I could coach my clients about it or how to go through that. Or, for example, if I'm looking for an answer, like how to approach a woman in my own dating life, then I could, if I solve that and I know how to do it consistently, then I can teach it. So maybe you as well, you obviously you had your own life, you had different things happening, and that transfers on to what you teach your clients potentially.
I mean, here the question is about what coaching is really, because there are so many facets to it.
Yeah.
And I believe me and you were doing different methods, which, each to their own. You chose yours because it's your life, your preferences. I chose mine. And in my work, I don't do that, but that's fine. I mean, I don't try to teach people.
Yeah.
I try to ask them deep questions so that they can tap into themselves and then find answers. I truly believe that all answers we have within.
That's true as well.
There is no one single pattern or way to live life, because what's right for me is not right for someone else. Yeah, that's what I think.
That's true. I agree that, there's not like an all-in-one solution that's going to work for everybody.
Absolutely.
But there's still like some principles that people can potentially put in place just from trial and error, Like when you take a big enough sample size of people who've been through the same thing, then you can see patterns and you can see like, okay, there's been this pattern going on and this is what it would take to fix it. And you can see like based on patterns, like anyways.
Yeah, surely patterns, they matter. We all are surrounded by patterns. There is part of counseling in my work, so to say. It's more to explain a concept. But I think that's about it. I really don't bring my experience into my work.
Gotcha.
Oh, I mean, I don't talk about my life during coaching sessions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not about me, right? So that's what I meant.
Okay. Yeah, just before I move into the other question, I think, there's something to be said about dating in this day and age, because definitely, I mean, right now, with social media, with dating apps, all of that, dating has changed a lot. And maybe you've noticed that.
For sure.
And do you think it's harder now for both men and women? And how do you think this, this whole social media trend and all of that has affected relationships nowadays and dating and all of that?
I for sure see a huge impact of social media on modern dating. It's both men and women. We're all human in the end. And one trait that I've noticed is that it becomes very easy to dispose of someone because of Tinder and all these apps. You swipe right, you swipe left, and you always feel like there is an endless pool of people you can date. So people jump from relationship to relationship without really analyzing how it went and what was the reason for it not working out. And a lot of people tend to blame it on the other person and not take personal responsibility for, for their part in the relationship. And definitely there is lack of awareness. That's the trend I see. And it's become much more difficult to connect on a deeper level, again, because of how fast-paced our life is and how everything happens really fast in social media. It changes in like 30 seconds. And I think it affects communication. I overall see the trend that people tend to text more instead of really meeting. It's both in relationships and then friendships and all. And it's kind of sad to me.
Yeah, nowadays there's way less married couples or people who are like faithful to their partner, etc. Because of what you said, I think, is the fact that so many people have so many options and it's endless. I mean, it's crazy.
I will add, another problem I see is that there is so much noise or so much, how to do this correct way or what's right, what's wrong. And people really cannot focus and cannot separate what's right for them and what's wrong. They're kind of led by all this noise and all this crazy flow of information, which is very overwhelming. That's also something that I notice affects relationships.
That's true as well. Yeah, I mean, society and what people try to project on us on a daily basis via social media can also affect our perception of things, and we start to believe things that maybe aren't really right for us. And then, I've seen this too. So for you, I mean, in your own experience, in your own dating life, like how has dating changed with all these apps, with social media, etc.? Do you meet a lot of people through that, usually online, or do you usually meet people in real life more? And yeah, just tell us.
When it comes to my personal experience, I've used both. Dating apps definitely makes it easier for me because I also have my own system of how to approach and how to filter through, let's say, men.
Okay.
Um,
What's your system?
I mean, I ask certain questions. I very well analyze their dating profile, what they write. I can tell a lot about someone
Like their bio?
based on the bio.
What if he doesn't have a bio? It's just like Instagram.
That also tells a lot. Let's say if a guy is 35, and I've seen even older men do that, and their entire bio is nothing. What does it tell me? It tells me that this person of 35 years old cannot talk about themselves. What does it tell me? Perhaps they are lousy and lazy, so they're not very invested. Yeah, do I need this person? No. Or they really don't know what to tell about themselves. Then they lack self-knowledge, self-awareness. I'm not interested in this person. Yeah.
It's funny you say that because sometimes I give advice to my clients about their bios. And a lot of times I say keep it simple because, I mean, if a guy also writes like a huge paragraph about himself on Tinder, it's a bit like, first of all, it's like very high investment. Like it looks like it matters so much to him that he's writing like all these paragraphs. But also, like there's a bit less mystery maybe or stuff like that. But then let's say his pictures tell the story of his life. Like,
but do they really?
I mean, sometimes, yeah. If you know he shows himself in traveling all over the world, doing cool shit, especially on his Instagram, for example, maybe that would compensate. Or no, it's just like, yeah, if he doesn't have a bio.
No, I think it's very easy to present a certain image of, yeah, I'm a cool guy, I'm traveling, or I'm a cool girl, I'm traveling, but what does it really tell about you? Nothing. Because it's very easy to photograph, or it's very easy to edit now. There is no substance in it for me, personally. I think it should be simple and should be clear, the bio. It should answer certain questions, who you are, what you're looking for, you know, what you like, what you don't like. Basically, a bit about yourself. It doesn't have to be a whole essay and very complicated, but I think it should be very clear. And perhaps what you're looking for, like what your intentions are. I think it's very cool to narrow it down right away because it's not a secret. We're all looking for different things. And we don't have time again, you know, so it would be cool to really not waste your time on something that's not worth it or where you're not aligned. Yeah.
Do you still prefer meeting people as well in real life? Because, I mean...
It is quite fun. I usually meet people in social situations or among common friends. And then you have more space to kind of get to know each other and really talk. That's also nice.
Do guys approach you in your day-to-day, like daytime, not like in a party, more like you're out somewhere, go to the grocery store, you go to...
I don't think it's very common here because of the culture.
Yeah.
But yeah, outside of Estonia, it happens a lot.
And do you like it when they do, or...?
I don't mind. I actually quite appreciate men being initiative. It takes a lot of vulnerability and guts for a man to approach a woman because then they're vulnerable in this state, you know, because they can get rejected and nobody likes to be rejected. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's what I found, like across, I spoke about this with a lot of women and they always appreciate that type of confidence, like just going up and saying hi. Now, obviously, sometimes you're not going to be in a good mood or whatever and you don't want to talk to anybody, but still, yeah, definitely, if you're a guy listening to this, like, I highly recommend approaching more women in your day-to-day life as well. Not just rely on online dating as a crutch, because that's what a lot of guys do in this day and age. They don't have the balls to approach women in real life, or they're too lazy, or they don't know how to do it. So they just use online dating as a crutch.
Exactly.
And it's lazy and it's too easy. And I think, yeah.
I really would like to add here, in my personal experience, when someone leads into my DM, I really have no idea how to connect to them. And because, again, our life is so filled with online communication, you constantly chat with friends, you know, you talk about business or your work online as well. And then when someone unknown leads into your DM, I oftentimes think, okay, so you are here and what should I do with you? Like, who are you? I don't even know you. How do I connect with you? And it's awkward. And it usually leads nowhere, in my personal experience.
Yeah, usually, I mean, most of the conversation you're going to have online are not going to lead anywhere anyway.
Exactly.
And only going to be a small conversion rate. Maybe that's going to lead to something. But Yeah, I mean, if the guy is a good texter and he has some good pictures and he's like, maybe he asks you relevant questions and is smooth,
That's very rare, though.
that could work. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
rare. That's why, yeah, they need a system.
I think it's very good to have a system because you need to have direction or vector in your actions.
Yeah.
A lot of people do things just to do things. There is no clear goal, no understanding of what kind of consequences they want to achieve afterwards or results. Yeah. And it makes everything just a big time waste.
Yeah.
I find. So systems are great. Being clear with what you want, amazing. Oh, what's the big, most overrated dating advice?
I could share mine if you want.
Yeah. Inspire me, please. I'm a bit lost.
One that I see is just like a lot of people regurgitate that because it's just so mainstream, is like, oh, just be yourself. Because the just be yourself, while it's true in some way, you want to be very authentic with who you are, what you want, etc. Well, if yourself at the current moment is shy, timid, doesn't really do anything, is lazy, whatever, then don't just be yourself, improve yourself as well. I mean, you can be yourself temporarily, but you gotta know that you need a version 2.0 of yourself to get better results,
Yeah.
And I think that's very overrated. Like, just be yourself. You have to become the type of person that gets those results. You don't, I truly believe, like, you don't get successful. You become successful
For sure.
through your actions, through working on yourself.
I agree here. As much as being yourself is great, because that's an essential part of who you are, and eventually getting to know someone. That's what you're connecting on. But really being mindful of your growth or your social skills that you perhaps need to tame a bit up. That's very important. And having a system again, being very clear with what you want is very important. I overall don't like very rigid rules, as much as they're very sexy and they attract people and it's very cool to follow them.
What do you mean by rules, for example?
I don't like when someone says, do this and for sure you'll get a date,
Yeah.
You don't know. Like, how are you so sure if it works for you, if it doesn't work for someone? That's what I don't like in dating. Or labeling someone as something without even really getting to know them. It's really fast to judge. If he says this or if she does this, then yada, yada, yada. It's too blunt and simple because you don't read someone else's mind. You really don't know.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this type of content is made to get views and made to get reactions. But I get what you're saying, yeah. What's like one thing that men should stop doing immediately on dates and in general with women? What are some of the biggest mistakes you've seen guys make with you, for example, or when you coach guys, like things you can help them with?
Trying too hard. And it's not the same as having better social skills or aiming or projecting that better version of yourself. It's not that. When you see it gets a bit awkward when they really try too hard, and instead of really getting to know the person and showing sincere interest, they kind of use patterns that they heard somewhere, or they just try to be extra, like all over a girl, a bit too desperate, And that really is a turnoff because you can see that he's really trying too hard.
So yeah, this is what I say to my guys too. I think I'm glad you brought that point because sometimes less is more.
Absolutely,
like addition by subtraction in some way. Because a lot of guys, they try to overcompensate their lack of confidence or game.
It seems
with cheap tactics.
It seems insecure when someone, for example, focuses too much on your like appearance. Oh, you're so beautiful. Okay, one time you said it, thank you, I appreciate it. But then if it's all the time about you're so beautiful or something of some sort, when they try to kind of win the girl over by all this sweet flattery, it becomes too obvious that they are desperate.
Yeah,
or they're not not confident, I think that really ruins everything. Like, we're here to get to know each other. Can we talk about getting to know each other, perhaps show some sincere interest and try to ask questions? It's actually good to prepare in advance a few questions that you want to know about the person.
Yeah.
Yeah?
But that comes...
Instead of being overly, oh, you're too beautiful, oh, la, 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 it's a bit too much. I think women then start to suspect, something is going on, like he's too desperate, and
Yeah.
then they block.
Yeah.
They build a wall and that's it.
I think oftentimes guys don't ask you questions like that because even themselves they don't even know what kind of woman they're looking for. They don't know. They don't even
Exactly.
know who they truly are, what they truly want. So they can't really qualify you on. They can't really ask you the right questions because they don't even know like what they're looking for. So I think one thing to do for every guy listening to this is really come up with a list of the things you'd want a woman to have, like attributes,
Absolutely.
and things you just have to disqualify her on that like she wouldn't be the right fit if she did those things, or
And
she would
it's
be that way.
absolutely it's absolutely amazing because really we are here for a very limited time period and we really want to make the best out of the time that we have. And it's fine to have standards and boundaries. In fact, it's very healthy. And it's very important to understand what you are looking for, what your boundaries are, where you turn yourself on and off and things like that. It will really help make this process less of a headache.
Yeah.
I think it can be quite discouraging going on all these dates all the time and speaking about random stuff when it's more kind of curated, or when someone comes more prepared, it's better.
Yeah, I want to switch a bit the topic here because I know you. I mean, I don't know if you want to discuss openly about this. I know it's related to your main business now, but like all the sexual kinky stuff, etc. So, how did you get into that? What made you interested in that? And yeah, what's your best tips in the bedroom? How do you think guys should kind of act in the bedroom too? What's your tips and tricks? And
my main tip is to get to know yourself, because we're all very different. People like such a huge variety of different things. It really helps if you know what you want and what you like, and what you don't know, what you don't want and don't like. Makes it easy. Yeah, I think life is too short for bad sex, and it's really important to get to know yourself and be able to communicate it in a civilized manner to your partner on a date, and quite early on, especially if it's doesn't matter, be it serious relationship or something more of a casual type. It's good to discuss preferences, because why then why then meet, or why then continue if you're not a good match? Yeah, I think it's very empowering for people to really know who they are, what they like, and there is no shame in whatever you like.
Yeah, it's funny you said like there's a lot of like very maybe powerful in the sense of like a guy has attained a certain level in business, like has a ton of money, etc. But then in the bedroom, he likes to be humiliated and just being like dominated and super submissive and stuff like that by a girl. Wouldn't sometimes it comes from like a deep inner lack of like maybe a bit of lack of self-esteem, and so they kind of cope with that in the bedroom by being dominated by girls and being whipped and being humiliated?
It's, in my opinion, absolutely not about self-esteem.
Okay.
It's about
you
control.
think it's just a kink? You think
it can be a kink for sure, but I would say the foundation of let's say BDSM is about control, letting go of control and being in control.
Yeah, because there are guys. I've seen like a movement recently that I've been interested in because I was looking at some stuff, and there's this movement like the findom movement, right, where guys would give money to girls just because I don't know, they like to just give money to girls like that and just be treated as shit and give money, or they call them pay pigs, like it's a pay pig.
Yeah,
just give me your money. You piece of shit, just give me your money. Yeah. And it's like it's like there's a lot of guys who it's like a vicious thing where inside themselves I feel like they have such a lack of self-esteem that they feel like they need to just do those type of things to cope, and like I don't know.
I personally don't like the concept of low or high self-esteem. I think it can be unstable or stable. And having a stable self-esteem doesn't mean it will never be low. Low. You can never doubt yourself or stuff. You doubt yourself as well. You go for lows and highs, but you're just more certain of who you are, what you like, and what you want. And it's not very easy to affect you or influence you from the outside. And those who don't have a very stable self-esteem, it also doesn't matter or doesn't mean that they're a piece of shit and they have no bone and no spine, you know, and it's very easy to manipulate them. I don't think it's about lack of self-respect or, again, self-esteem. It is, for me, in my experience, a lot of BDSM is about control and letting go of control. And Findom sounds very easy, or BDSM sounds very easy to the outside world, but actually it's a very solid contract-based relationship. And being a sub or a dom is not easy. As in, it's not so simple that, you know, a woman just becomes a financial dominatrix and she's like, give me your money, you piece of shit, and then she spends it the way she likes. No, it's all based on the contract.
There's a bit of that. I mean, without contract, just like...
I mean, it's poor practice then, and it's not true BDSM, I believe. Yeah. It's kind of disrespectful and usually leads to very sad endings.
What's the best thing a guy can text you to kind of really, you know, catch your interest on an app like that?
Just be open. Hey, I like you. I really liked your profile, for example. I find that we have a lot of things in common.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I see it, or that's why I see it. And what do you think about meeting?
Being
I think
like
that's the best.
Straight line.
Because, again, let's not waste time. Yeah. It's. I think it's very admirable if a person can state what they want. It's. I think confidence is sexy.
Yeah.
How is it in your life, or is in your experience, especially with male clients?
With what? With
confidence and straightforwardness is sexy.
I think it is a super important thing, especially. I mean, I tell them, like, when you approach a woman in real life, for example, don't beat around the bush. Don't be there just asking her what the time is when truthfully you just wanted to speak to her. Or you see a lot of guys asking them for the directions because they don't want to be upfront and tell her that they found her cute or whatever. I think that's very important. But then also, I think there's something to be said about not being too upfront, because sometimes maybe with the girl, I mean, you're a special type of girl. Maybe you like the super straightforwardness.
Maybe I am very straightforward myself and I prefer that.
Yeah.
But again, there are so many ways to communicate one message. It can be delivered gently, softly, or it can be more straightforward. And
yeah. You have to package it in a way. With some girls, you have to package it more in a way that's smooth and very socially acceptable.
Perhaps with most
with
girls.
Some other girls, yeah, you can be. I mean, especially in field on the app, you can be more like hardcore.
More,
but with normal girls, just
most
normal
of them,
people,
let's say,
most of them, you have to package it in a way that's more smooth and have that push pull a little bit. Also have that intrigue, that mystery of like, oh, I don't really know if he really likes me, but yeah, let me keep texting him. And there's a bit of that challenge, that tension, where it's not like, oh, straight away we're just here to fuck. We don't know yet. There's like this kind of tension.
I mean, even if it's straightforward, you still don't know if you will fuck or no.
Yeah,
but
I get what you mean. It's less obvious, you know. But yeah, what's the most attractive quality that you find in a guy usually, besides a guy who fucks well or has good sex? Like something.
What is good sex and what is fucks well? Yeah, like it's different for each person.
Yeah.
Confidence is very, very attractive, and really knowing who you are. I think that self-awareness and being kind of content with who you are, it's very sexy.
So a guy who lives in congruence with himself, like in his thoughts, words, and actions, and who knows who he is. And
I would say so. Yeah.
Because that's what authenticity is like. Just being congruent with your thoughts, words, and actions.
Carrying yourself, authentically, sincerely. That's, I think, very sexy.
Let me ask you this: what if the guy is perfect in every sense, in a way, like he's super good looking, super sexy, etc. But unfortunately, in the bedroom, he's not that great.
Nah.
Okay, so bedroom over everything first.
Looks, not over everything, but looks, they fade. Yeah, and I truly believe, you see, for each person, sex means different volumes, I would say. And here we should dive into scientific concept of sexual constitution. It's not very well known in the West, but in the East, it's part of sexology as a science. Yeah, and so sexual constitution is something that you're born with and you cannot change. It's not libido, it's literally your genetic blueprint. Yeah.
What do you mean sexual constitution? Like whether you're straight or
Um,
not, whether you have a penis
no,
or
it's not.
vagina?
It's not that. It's about how your body physically, how much your body physically needs sex. It's the sex
Okay.
drive that each
Okay.
person has, and it's a genetic thing, and it kind of develops already while you're like prenatal, while you're still in your mother's womb, and it depends a lot on testosterone and how a certain area in a brain of both men and women is developed. It's not about how developed or not it is. It's about what's the density of neurons and what's the hormonal cocktail and your genetic predisposition or your genetic inheritance is basically. And people who have higher sexual drive or stronger sexual constitution, they usually require more sex, and for them it's of bigger importance. I am one of these people. And then there are people who have less of a sex drive, and then sex is not very important for them, and you can definitely see it in relationships. So yeah, you need to really know yourself.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's a great point. I like it. Yeah, we have different human needs, and some people sex is like a higher human need, and some people need maybe less.
That's all I say.
What's the sweet spot in a week of like 1 time a week, 2 times?
I mean, it depends on your sexual constitution, but the general rule of thumb is for strong, it's from 1 time a day up to 4, or as many as you can or you want. Then for average, it's about 3-4 times a week, and then for weak, it's about 1 time a week up to 1 time a year. So it really is very personal. And then every decade you deduct 1 day out of it. So with age, it fades. Yeah, and then there is libido on top of it. So how is your lifestyle? How is your relationship with your partner? How are your stress levels? What have you been doing with your health, for example? So it's really a complex topic.
Yeah, it's true. I think for guys, a lot of the libido can be developed through your lifestyle, like if you train consistently, you eat the right food, etc. Like you're gonna feel like you have more testosterone. You want to have more sex. Yeah.
By the way, it's the same for women.
Yeah.
Our sex drive is also based on testosterone. Guys just have more of it. We still have it. We have it. In different levels, and then testosterone levels also will be different based on your sexual constitution, both for guys and women. But gym and healthy lifestyle and sleep, they really help with that.
Yeah. Do you believe in soulmates? Why? And if yes, then why? And if not, then why?
Yes and no. I think we decide who is the soulmate. You just connect with people on a certain level, and yeah, that's there. It's good to have a soulmate, but then having a soulmate, does it really mean that it's happily ever after? Not necessarily.
True. I think, we see this in a lot of movies, for example, in Disney movies, where the guy is going to chase that princess, that special girl, that soulmate, and yeah, they're going to be happily ever after or whatever. This is a narrative that we've had in society. Even you girls, you've had this narrative like of the Prince Charming coming to rescue you and whatever.
Yeah, it's a very sad story, to be honest.
Yeah, and I believe this delusion of like, oh, there's gonna be this special girl, and if not her, then there's nobody else. I think it leads a lot of guys to desperation and hell.
And women.
Yeah,
it's really complicated because there is this almost unachievable ideal, that we are being fed since very early childhood. But life is very complex, and it's usually not the case.
Yeah, I think we can have different soulmates in different periods of your life.
Absolutely. And even the greatest relationships, they can fade. And then the worst relationships, they last long, for example. Yeah, so.
Would you get married?
It is on the table, yeah.
Would you have kids?
Not sure yet. I'm not the type of woman that kind of puts it in the center of her life. I never felt this strong maternal instinct. I think what really drives me is growth and really realizing my full potential in life. That's what really drives me. And with kids, I'm still not sure. It's not something that I will probably be desperate about, and I never have been. Yeah.
Would you rather date like a rich guy who's bad in bed or a poor guy who's good in bed?
None of them. I don't like to choose. I like to have everything.
Yeah, full stack.
No, but then I would maybe lean more towards a poor guy with good sex, because I can also earn my own money. Yeah.
Yeah. And okay, so let's play a little game real quick, and then we can come back to the questions.
Absolutely.
I want to play this little game with you and see what you think about those type of things. So we're gonna play a little game. It's called red flag or green flag. And I'm going to tell you some situations and you're going to tell me what you think about it, whether it's a green flag or red flag for you and why is it. Let me ask you this, okay? Green flag or red flag? So let's say you're on a date and then he tells you that he cheated. He had a past relationship and he cheated in his last relationship. But he says that he's learned his lesson now and he's grown from it and he's not going to do it again. It was a mistake. Green flag or red flag?
Green. As crazy as it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, infidelity is so common. It happens way more often than we think. And from what I've learned, personal experience, and also, based on what I read and learned about it in psychology, people do it for all sorts of different reasons. Yeah, it's never straightforward. So I'm not the person who thinks that if a guy or whoever did it once, it will happen for sure again in a new relationship.
So the saying "once a cheater, always a cheater."
I mean, certainly there
right?
are patterns. There are pathological liars and people who get their whatever dopamine fix or rush from cheating. That's one type of person. But then there is another type of person who has done it because there were certain things that were lacking in a relationship or whatever. Like communication was bad, and it's just being humane or like human.
Yeah, I think also yourself, based on your previous answers, you really value also straightforwardness and honesty from the get-go. And if he had maybe hidden that from you, then you wouldn't respect him as much if you found out later on. But yeah, it's okay. Let's move on to the next one, and then we can talk about the rest. So let's say, okay, other question: green flag or red flag? Let's say, you've been dating a guy, and it's been a pretty casual dates, but then you mention some other guys you've been seeing, or maybe a male coworker that's hitting on you or whatever, even if it's purely professional, and he gets jealous, he gets annoyed by that, by the fact that you text other guys, you see other guys. What do you think?
Green or red flag? No,
yeah,
absolutely not.
You need a guy who can tolerate the fact that you're going to see other options.
It's not about tolerance. It's about being secure and understanding that you don't own someone.
What if he dates you exclusively then, not casual, and he gets a bit protective?
I have male friends. I mean, in my case, if I choose to be with someone in an exclusive relationship, it means that I've given it a really good thought and that I'm getting everything I want from this one guy that I don't want or cannot get in sex parties or while casually dating. So for me to commit to someone and to really make it exclusive, it means that I've really given it a thought. And so if a person doubts me, then it kind of means that he doesn't trust me. Yeah? If with all my actions and the way I treat him, it doesn't show him that he's the one, then, what am I doing here? That's my personal opinion on this subject.
What if it's the other way around? Like he's with you and then he flirts with other girls in front of you and maybe with the waitress in front of you when you're in a restaurant or with other people. What about that?
I mean, a bit of flirting is fine. Yeah, I'm very flirty myself. But then if he for sure consistently makes me feel like I'm the one, then I don't doubt that. But let's say if a guy has too many girlfriends and they're very consistently, there is something going on, then I wouldn't like it.
So let's do another one. Green flag or red flag? Let's say you're on a first date with him. He takes you to a nice restaurant, bar, whatever. And for some reason, he insists on just splitting the bill.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. So it's a lack of chivalry, lack of...
Yeah, I'm a very traditional woman. I'm Slavic.
You're Russian, right? Or
a mixture, Slavic, Ukrainian. I mean, Russian, Ukrainian, Greek. But I was brought up in this very traditional, I would say, way, and I think it's not only about that. I know my worth, and I always make sure to prepare for the date. My perfume costs a lot. You know, I usually dress nicely. There are nails, makeup, hair, jewelry, la la la.
so that's your
All of
investment.
it is my investment. Yeah, to be presentable and nice. And I absolutely love chivalry. I think it's very amazing.
Yeah. No, I agree
Yeah.
with that. I mean, it makes sense. Usually it's the guy who's going to pay, especially if it's a first date. Now, would you think that at some point in the relationship you could invite him sometimes, or it's
Absolutely,
always
yes.
okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Okay, because there are some girls like, no, it's princess treatment all the way, baby. There's no middle.
Princess treatment, yes. But I think when you're building a family together,
Yeah.
as a functional adult, you contribute. That's
Okay.
what I think. Plus, I think it's nice to treat a man that you like as well, or that you love. Take him on a date, whatever, make a surprise, gift him something. It's nice. It's humane. Yeah, it's more like an adult relationship, because people can choose different things. Again, whatever floats their boat, I really don't mind. But then there is transactional analysis theory, right? When there are three ego states that we all have in one person. It's the parent, the adult, and the child. And oftentimes it's kind of romanticized to have these very vertical relationships. Yeah, where let's say a guy is more in an ego state of an parent, and he kind of is like a dad to a little girl that the woman is like a princess, and she's in this childish state. And it's cool to play with dynamics, but when it goes too far, for example, when a woman is dependent financially on the guy and she has no safety, whatever happens, God forbid, to the guy, then she's left with nothing, and it's really, honestly, a stupid move. And the same with dating. When the relationship, is already there happening, then you're always in this state of like a little girl, and it's very vertical, and then he can demand more from you because he's the parent, he decides, and you don't. And as a woman, I don't think or anyone, it's not a good state to put yourself in. It's better if there is a difference in dynamic, and you're like adults, so you're more equal then.
So you said adult, parent, and child. That's
parent,
adult, and child.
And child.
That's interesting. For one of the first times I see this take, and
it's
it makes
cool
total
theory.
sense. Yeah.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, obviously a lot of girls like to call their guy daddy or whatever, and not just for that, but even
a lot of girls
financially.
have daddy issues. Yeah, let's be honest.
No, but it's good too. I mean, in the bedroom, it's kinky, it's fun,
yeah.
but it's just that a lot of girls become very dependent on their man, and at some point, it's a way for the man to also exert a lot of control over her.
Yeah, I've heard of crazy cases in, let's say, work of my colleagues. One being a very extreme one that really shocked me to the core of my heart, where a woman was married to a guy. He was 50, she was 40, so they had like 10 years difference. They had 3 kids. He was always the breadwinner, the provider. She never had to work. She was taking care of the household and kids, which, I mean, is good. But then the problem was that she never had any income, any savings, nothing. She was bare butt, how we say in Russian. And then the guy dies accidentally from, I think, a stroke or something, out of nowhere. And this woman doesn't know how to earn money, doesn't have any money, has 3 kids, cannot even pay bills like for internet. She doesn't know how to do it. And there is this house and whole household that she needs to take care of. And you're 40, like, what are you doing? It's a really, really bad thing to do to yourself.
And he didn't leave her anything behind, like no money?
I mean, probably, if I remember correctly, there was a problem with the business or something, or there were business partners that she didn't inherit money, or it wasn't enough. But the main point is that she had no skill on how to live as an adult, No paying, she didn't know how to pay bills.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think, you need to have a baseline of independence a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because, okay, let's move on to another one. Let's say you start dating a guy casually, and then every day he texts you, good morning, good night, every single day without failing. Even if you don't respond. Is it a green flag or a red flag?
Good one. It is a red flag if I am not dating him and I don't respond. As in, we went to one date, didn't go well. I was clear on that, and then he continuously just bombards me with messages. It's awkward and weird. I would really question his like objectiveness.
Yeah.
But then, if you're really dating a guy, then consistency is nice.
Yeah,
It's a way to show that you're kind of thinking of of the person. It's nice.
Yeah. But yeah, in that scenario, it's too much. Like definitely too much desperation a bit. Like you feel like he doesn't have any other option. He can't walk away. He likes you too much.
It's just like not being connected to reality. Yeah. If a woman says no, it's a no.
But she didn't say no in this scenario that I'm telling you. You didn't say no.
Yeah,
he's just like he had sex with you. Maybe it's casual and he's sweet. He just too nice. Maybe.
I think here it depends on really what each person prefers. For example, to some it's important that's let's say how they understand that they are being thought about or cared for, and if it's their standard, then so be it. If for some it's not important, then so be it. It's all about communication and what you agree to.
Gotcha. So yeah, Natalie, I mean, if someone wants to work with you potentially, etc., or wants to learn more about what you do, like what exactly do you propose at the moment? What do you do exactly with your clients? And yeah, how's that going? How people can find about your services and what you do?
The best way is to find me on Instagram. My account is at natalie.in.joy, NATALI.IN.JOY, and just DM me. The way I work with people is that we schedule an intake call. For me, it's very important to have that vibe check and see if what the client wants from me I can really deliver, and if we have a flow. And I also, during this call, profile them. I ask them about their focus for coaching and difficulties, and we set point A, so to say. And then when they decide to work with me, I work long term. I don't provide 1 session, 2 sessions. I think it's not a very good use of my time, and it's impossible to achieve great transformation in 1 session.
How long does it take usually? Sorry.
I would say it takes about 6 months on average. It's different for each person, but I would say based on my 5-year experience, it's about 6 months. Especially if they have never worked on this topic.
Okay.
It takes even a few sessions to understand how the whole process works, and maybe they have resistance, and for sure they will, and to get into the flow. And so I schedule in sessions regularly. It's like a habit of brushing your teeth, but you then work on your mental state and your beliefs every week, 1 day, 1 time. It's consistent. That's how I like it. And yeah, each session they come with a request for the session based on their observations and things that they implemented during the last week, and it's usually all connected to the main request. That's how it goes.
And you do live workshops too in Tallinn at the moment.
Me and my business partner, we're doing live workshops. It's in format of group coaching. We have groups for 10 people. Now it's women. We separate men and women. We're doing it with women for now, and that's where I'm using the same coaching method. And my partner, she's also an ICF-certified coach. Each topic or each workshop has a topic, and they're all connected. For example, from the end of January, we are doing a cycle on libido, and then it will be about attractiveness. And each time we basically discuss theory and what's in science. What are the scientifically based methods that you can know about, and what adds to awareness. And then we do practice, which is coaching methods. And then there is homework, and that's how it works.
Gotcha. And same thing, they have to DM you, or is it?
Yep.
You don't have a website now?
Nope.
Okay. You
I know
gotta,
it's bad, but I gotta do it.
You gotta improve your online presence game, because it's hard to find you.
I know.
Yeah. Cool. So I'll link down your Instagram and any link you have, and yeah, go check her out. Especially if you're a woman, I guess in Tallinn, especially the workshops.
Workshops are for women.
I think that would be super interesting for some women. I have some women in my audience that would be interested. I think maybe. Tallinn.
Guys can also come, but it's for 1-on-1.
Yeah, I think it would be a great way for guys to meet women in your workshops. Maybe. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I should check out those workshops one day.
perhaps.
I'll
Guest
be
speaker.
down. Yeah. Cool. What's the age range in your workshops? Usually is it older women or women in their late 20s, 30s?
I would say it's late 20s, 30s to 40s.
Mm-hmm.
The third decade, I would say that's the.
Nice. Okay.